Just moments ago, President Trump greeting the Prime Minister of Norway at the White House. Trump telling reporters he thinks Vladimir Putin will listen to him on stopping strikes in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that the United States wants to sign a sweeping economic partnership with Ukraine. The goal, lasting peace between Ukraine and Russia and a new era of post-war investment. But they could be losing their patience with President Zelensky. Trump promised a new U.S.-Ukraine mineral deal today. That's now delayed. The pressure comes just hours after a deadly Russian strike on Kyiv that killed several people. Trump responding to the attacks on Truth Social this morning, demanding Putin stop, get the peace deal done. And that's a quote. Jackie, to you on this first, simply your expertise on all things natural resources and the deals afoot with Ukraine, but also how we potentially offset Russia's power by, again, up in production of natural gas and even oil here in the United States. Just to put it in perspective that way.
Absolutely. And second to tariffs and then a big, beautiful bill, people are saying they want to see energy production in this country rise, and they want to see it pretty quickly. It's high on the list, and that kind of is coupled with deregulation, but that would put us in a winning position for so many reasons, and it would give us a lot of leverage over Russia. And that's one of the things that people questioned when Joe Biden allowed Russia to invade Ukraine, why he took our natural gas production down, why he said you couldn't export natural gas, and then later said that he doesn't remember signing that. Well, somebody signed it. And so there are a lot of things at play here. But what's interesting to me about the negotiations is I don't trust Ukraine just because of the level of corruption that is there. Let's say we do get a mineral deal. And it's a joint venture. 50% we're supposed to share with them. If they're not mining properly or maximizing the capabilities that they have, they can just kind of dawdle and not do anything. 50% of nothing would be nothing. So I don't see what we get out of that. And that could be a stalling tactic for Zelensky if he doesn't like what happens. And on the opposite side of this, you know, you're going to have to give Vladimir Putin things to get him to back off and to stop. Otherwise, there's no incentive. Not only do you have to give him things, but you're going to have to make him look good in this process, and that creates a slippery slope. And then we've brought up this third element of if we do said minerals deal and we put our presence there, what does that really mean, having the United States there? How much is Ukraine going to lean on us? So this is really complicated. I still go back to my first thing of deterrence would have been a much better option than getting entangled in this. You know, obviously Trump is going to work out a solution or try to get us out of it and to get them out of it, to get a ceasefire. But it's not going to make all people happy on all sides, for sure.
Well, it's peace at what cost? And what worries me is giving Putin something that, in effect, will prompt the next invasion.
Crimea?
Whether it be 3 months from now, 3 years from now, he is playing the long game. And, you know, Ukraine, corrupt without question, but also the victim in this case here. So that's what I'm worried about. Any deal, any settlement. I mean, we all want peace, but I think if Putin is allowed to keep all this territory that he essentially conquered, we are only setting ourselves up for more unrest in Europe and ultimately a stronger Russia writ large.
See, and I argued that, and my lovely co-anchors came back to me and they said, but Trump's dealing with the facts now. Crimea happened 2014, 2013 under Obama, right? Like that was pre-Trump. And so giving Russia Crimea, if that saves thousands of lives for Ukrainian boys, Russian boys who maybe don't have a choice. So I'm with you. And that was my argument yesterday and then persuaded by, but the facts of today have changed. Like if you want peace, there has to be this coming together from both sides.
Well, I think the pushback on it is, and I take your point about the incentive it might create for a Putin or somebody else, fine. But if you're not going to do this, a deal like this, I actually think this deal is sort of, these are the facts on the ground, like them or not deal. That's what Trump's putting forward. If you don't like that and you're worried about what Putin might do, then what are you proposing next? Like, that's the answer that's the question that doesn't get answered when people point out that giving recognizing Crimea as Russian is going to incentivize Putin. What are you going to do? You're going to keep sending money to Ukraine? Are you going to keep the fight going? What is the U.S. interest in that? And I would like a persuasive answer to that. I just haven't seen anybody really provide one.
Well, I guess my fear isn't even only Putin, it's also potentially Xi.
Yeah.
You know, if the notion is, yeah, you can walk into another country and simply get to conquer it, and the rest of the world isn't going to do anything. And Brian, I mean, I don't know. Certainly, I wouldn't want American soldiers, but to allow President Zelensky in Ukraine to purchase ammunition, purchase weapons, I would see no problem.
See, I just don't
with that.
think, regardless of what you think about Taiwan and America's interests there, I don't think you're locked into viewing every other situation around the globe with any country the same way as Russia and Crimea. You can recognize the reality of Russia, Crimea, but then say that may not be how we operate in other spots. And I think it's very fair to do that. And I don't think we should be locked into binary thinking on this. But that's kind of like the argument. If you do this with Russia and Crimea, then that's going to set the precedent for everything else. I just reject that.
And the blame falls to Joe Biden and his just horrific foreign policy and, well, you know, domestic policy as well. But you had this new access not only form, but grow in strength, Iran, China, and Russia. And so you can't, to your point, you can't really remove the Russia-Ukraine conflict from trying to fight a trade war with China and trying to negotiate a new nuclear pact with Iran. And the Wall Street Journal has a scathing editorial today that it's the message aside, but it does point out that a U.S. flag officer told Congress recently that China has provided 70% of the machine tools and 90% of the legacy chips that have allowed Russia to rebuild its war machine. And and the journal writes, that's a testament to how all of the world's problems are intertwined. So it's very difficult to, like, if you're fighting the trade war with China, then you're indirectly dealing with Russia you need to deal with Russia in a much tougher way than we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, no question.
I just paused to see if anybody had anything else to say.
I think you're raising the question of where does Russia trend? Does Russia trend more to China or does Russia trend somewhere else? I just think the Trump administration wants to get in between Russia and China and not concede that alliance and find a way to pull Russia out of that a little bit. It's grown stronger. We are not well served as a country if Russia and China are absolute best friends, economically tied up.
See,
you got to get in the middle of that.
See, that's what I was looking for.
Right.